Well, hello, my friends. It's me, Stu, here for you. And oh my goodness, do we have a treat today? We have an incredible story, and there are so many layers to this story. And I apologize that we're starting a bit late because I'm just getting excited talking to Scott before we go live, and I'm excited now to bring it all to you. Incredible story of how a membership came to be between two friends who had no intention of initially creating a membership. They had successful businesses and they came together, created a membership, and it has blossomed into an absolutely incredible, highly profitable seven-figure membership. So, with that, Scott, thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Stu. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the membership, but let's just give people some context in terms of, who it is that you're serving with your audience.
Yeah, the simple answer is we are serving dentists who offer clear aligner, Invisalign clear aligner treatment to their patients in their practice.
So this is a very
60,000 of them in the United States.
Sorry, how many of them are there?
60,000 in the United States and about 400,000 worldwide.
Wow. Okay. And so this is a very specific niche. This is one of the things I want everybody to hear about this. Like, this is a very, not just dentists as a whole, but dentists that are serving specifically Invisalign.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So now what's your involvement? Are you the dentist? Like, talk to us about that.
Yeah, there's actually a joke at Molus Coaching, which is I'm hashtag not a dentist, but I've learned a lot about dentistry and clear aligner therapy. But no, the name of it is Molus Coaching, and Ryan Molus is one of my best friends from high school. And I won't skip ahead too far unless you want me to, but we were having a series of backyard conversations, and I was like, you should teach this, Ryan. And his first answer was no way. And so eventually that conversation over a couple more backyards over a 2-year period, he's like, well, let's see what this looks like. And so I'm a co-founder, but not a dentist at all. I'm actually a lawyer who kind of works in philanthropy and social impact.
So this is amazing. So you had your own successful business that was in a completely different market, completely different industry. As you said, you're a lawyer in the specializing in the nonprofit world. And then your friendship with Ryan sparks this conversation. So where did the idea come for you to be thinking about, like, hey, Ryan's got this tremendously successful thing happening. Like, he could be teaching other dentists this. Where did that come from?
It was a backyard conversation where Ryan, who's actually a super tall guy, 6'8", and dentists apparently are well known for having back problems because they're always over the chair every day working on people's mouths. And so he's talking, as we're getting older, he's like, oh, my back hurts so bad. I wish there was some way for me to do something else that would be just as profitable, but not as challenging for me. And I said, well, why don't you teach other people how to do this Invisalign thing that my understanding was general at the time. It's more specific now, but I knew he was successful at it. I didn't realize until later how successful he was, which only amplified the opportunity to plug it in to this model that I was familiar with, which is these membership courses online where you can scale for one person the same way you can for 10, the same way you can for 1,000. So that's how it all sort of came together through a series of backyard conversations. And then lightning struck. And one day Ryan said, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, this is amazing. And there's a couple things I want to unpack. And by the way, I want to say hello to Curran and Janie, Lisa Marie, Stephanie, Monica. Great to all have you jumping on. And as we go through, if there's any questions that pop up, I just encourage everybody to, in the comments, just type question in all caps and then your question thereafter, and we'll see if we can weave some of those in. But you said that Ryan initially was reluctant or a little bit resistant to the idea of sharing what he was doing in his practice to be able to grow it so quickly. Talk to me about that. Where was that resistance coming from?
Yeah, so a couple of places, but one was, he didn't want to train his competition. He is a solo dentist. He's on his own, meaning he doesn't have any partners in his practice. He doesn't have associate dentists who work for him. It's just him. He's the dentist. He has a staff, a team that he works with every day, and he couldn't do it without them. So that was super important for him. But there were no other dentists, and he's like, if I train other people how to do it, I may not be as successful. And I said, but what if you could do it at scale, where you could charge a reasonable fee for something super valuable and hard to get? And so it was fun because I got to sort of help do what I honestly saw modeled by you and other leaders like you who encourage people to lead with generosity and from an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. And I was like, well, Ryan, what if we could flip that on its head and make it just as valuable? And he had also been offered to teach before through other vehicles that to me sounded like they paid pretty well. But then I did the math of what he does in his practice per year because he's so successful. And I realized, oh, if he takes a day away from his practice for that fee, he's losing big time per day. Because again, he's just a solo GP. There's nobody else to do it if he turns off the lights that day. So it really had to be something that would scale and that really had that potential that I hear about so much through your program to serve a lot of people. And when we adopted that mindset, he opened up to it. It took a year, but he opened up to
it. Yeah. And I think that's common too, right? Like when you have a skill set in an area and you're doing really well with it, it can be common to think like, I don't want to let the secret out. Like if I let the secret out, then it's not going to work as effectively for me. But in this case, like you opened Ryan's eyes to the opportunity. That conversation went from no to, well, maybe to, okay, let's go for it. And the other side of this that I want to point out for everybody is that you yourself are not the expert, and yet you've created this amazing partnership where you're supporting the expert. Talk to me about your role in this.
Yeah, Ryan asked me on the day he finally said yes. It was a different backyard. It was 3 backyard conversations over 3 years, a little over 2 years, almost 3 years. And the third time he sat there and he goes, what would it look like? Now, thankfully, I'd been following this guy named Stu Curran, and I kind of had an answer. And so I said, well, let me pull it up and show you, Ryan. And I said, put on your Stu face. And he's like, what are you talking about? And so I said, well, trust me on this. And so I said, look, there's a model. There's a predictable and reliable success path that people follow. And I was like, we take your substance and we plug it into this model. And I think it'll work. Bear in mind, I was well caffeinated and enthusiastic, and hopeful, but I didn't know. I didn't know the industry. I'm not a dentist, but I bought your, confidence and the belief in it that I think we all share in this community. And I was like, I believe in this. And so I showed him how it could look. And I said, well, how would you describe what you do if you had to break it down into 3, 4, 5 different pillars at the time is what I said, or categories of content? He's like, well, and so we quickly, that same day, same backyard, came up with what are today our 4 modules of lessons. And so
wow.
There's 4 core modules that are really the 4 legs of the stool that support Ryan's practice. And that's what we teach, the 4 core modules. And there's a reference and bonus library. And that became our curriculum. It was the earliest sketch of the curriculum on day 1 because I had everything I learned through your program.
Well, and you've done so many very creative and innovative things that we're going to unpack here in just a minute. And for those that are just joining, we're talking with Scott, who has started a new membership back in 2018. That was the beginning, right? 2018, Scott?
2018, yeah. Sure.
And this membership, for everybody watching and listening, it has blossomed into a multi-7-figure a year membership, which is absolutely amazing. And it's serving a very specific niche. It's dentists, but not just all dentists specifically who are providing Invisalign for their clients. And it's a very, very specific market, obviously. And Scott partnered with his longtime friend, Ryan, who is the dentist. So Scott's not the dentist, Ryan is, and they've partnered together to create this incredible membership. So let's talk about, you decide to move forward. What happens from there when you decide to then start, offering it? Did Ryan have an audience of dentists that were following him? Talk to me through that process.
None. We didn't know where to start. And so it's funny because he actually started texting some of the people who had asked him to teach, including the makers of Invisalign, because it's not uncommon in his industry to have peer educators. Most of us have peer educators in our space. And so he had been asked to be a peer educator, but he'd never done it. He thought, well, what if I did it in this unique way? And so he started sending texts exact same day. It was a busy day. Started sending.
A lot was happening. You guys just didn't wait. You just got dove right in.
I'll tell you, it hasn't stopped since. It's been 4 years of that same intensity, which is fun and speaks to the beauty of this model and the fun that anybody and everybody can. I truly believe if you have something you can teach, you have an opportunity here and there's potential. It may not all look the same, but it's very real. And we've had a lot of fun, and I don't ever want to overlook that. All the numbers aside, it's also been fun. For a whole bunch of reasons, and at a time when we all need more fun in our lives. But we started asking other people, how can we do this well? And, a lot about authenticity and teaching what Ryan does and being really clear. And so we started partnering with other people who had a lead on how to educate well. And we asked some honest questions. We're like, what are the best educators doing? What are the best people in this space doing? What are they not doing that is still missing? And we figured that out. And that's what we built. And we did it pretty quickly. It took between that one busy day to launch was about 8 months of actually launching the product. We put it together. We shot every Sunday afternoon, mid-morning to late afternoon. We packaged all the content. We started building the site. We collaborated with those same people to sort of test it out a little bit. I had a lot to learn. I had two models that I wanted to put together and a theory about, but I had to learn a lot myself from those who know it's a highly technical space. It is ultimately a medical treatment. So a lot of regulation to be careful about. And as a lawyer, I wasn't that business's lawyer, but you don't turn that part of your brain off if you're me. And so we had to run through a lot of details. It was important we got it right than getting it fast, but we still launched in the first year and still did, multiple six figures.
Well, and I want to talk to you about that because you used that runway to get clear on what you were going to teach, how you were going to teach it, making sure that you were within certainly all the regulations, with this being certainly a membership that's focused on healthcare practices and so forth. And then we talked about like building your audience. So how did you guys go about getting the word out, so to speak, or attracting people that would be potential target or a great fit for your membership?
So we work with those same people, the same people who are guiding us on the education landscape and who are interested in seeing this new approach to teaching from this practice that I increasingly came to realize. And I always describe it this way. I was like, oh my goodness, while Ryan was just my friend and my dentist, I didn't realize that he is actually the Michael Jordan of Invisalign. Like he's truly, if there's one person on this earth today who's done more Invisalign treatment for a patient, because the average of those 60,000 US providers, they average 5 patients a year.
Wow.
For context, Ryan does 600 to 700 every single year. So in a lifetime of offering that treatment, most dentists are doing a dozen to maybe 10s, 20s, 30s. And then for a variety of reasons, they tend to fall off offering it. And that's it. Ryan's been doing this for 20 years. And so most lifetime cases are in the 30 to 50, maybe 100 range. And then the majority of those folks drop off. Ryan's been doing this for 20 years and has treated over 6,000 patients.
Wow.
He's still growing 20 years in, and that was the promise. So when you put something like that out in the space, that was kind of shocking to the point that some people didn't believe us or they didn't believe him. They'd never seen him lecturing or teaching before. He had no reputation, no following. He wasn't on Instagram as a dentist or anything else. There was no public persona. He's just a solo guy practicing in his office, sitting on this gold mine of information about how to do something at scale that's really valuable and rare for a whole bunch of people who want to learn it. And so once we started collaborating, getting the word out, we started the website. We said coming soon. We started building an email list. We started putting the word out and socializing with folks. And by the time we launched, we had a couple thousand people on it, and we started getting a couple dozen members in the first year.
Well, and this is something that I want everybody just to pause for a moment. Like you use that 8 months to, as we said, refine the content, get clear on what you're going to provide, but you're simultaneously using it to build the audience. And you're doing it by getting in front of audiences that people had already, created. These were people that already were in front of your target audience. And I think that forming those collaborations is a really important key that often gets overlooked. Like we go down this path of thinking we've got to do everything ourselves, but no, you guys were, providing value ahead of time to other people's audiences, and doing so, you were building your own audience in the same breath.
Yes, and delivering value, leading with generosity. I was following what you taught me, Stu. I've been following you for a while, and I didn't know if I'd ever have a business that might benefit from what I learned from listening to you. And then this thing came along, and I was like, and when Ryan would say things about like, well, I don't want to train my competition to the detriment of my family or my business, which is a very real and valid concern. I said, I think Stu would say we have to lead with generosity on this one. He said, well, do I have to teach everything? I was like, I kind of think we have to teach everything. Like, if we're really going to be authentic and if we're really going to help solve problems to make people's lives better across the board of all the people who could benefit from this, we have to lean in. And that's always been a guiding light. And it's always been our North Star to pull us through.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so you get to the point, you're about ready to launch, and you do your founding member launch. Talk us through that process. What happens?
Yeah, it was a collaboration because we did work with the company that makes Invisalign. We still do, which is a really fun and dynamic part of the story. I want to respect the confidentiality of it, but to know that's possible too is so exciting. We didn't know that when we started in that backyard. And so we had 3 of the current 4 modules done and almost none of the bonus library, but lots of reference materials. And so we said, let's launch this curriculum in the community. We say we have 3 C's. We have curriculum, community, and coaching. The coaching comes from the curriculum that's available at the touch of a button 24/7 online, where they live and where they practice. So when they run into a challenge or problem, it's there for them. And we're really focused on that, launching that part of it. And then with the membership signing up for that curriculum, we build the community, a private online Facebook community for our member doctors, just the doctors, not the staff, not friends, not family, just the doctors, given a safe space. So that's what we went to market with. We said we have these 3 modules. We're going to build a 4th that's coming soon, but the 3 were alone game changers. And we launched it. And I'll never forget, our very first enrollment came in. We got that email. Ryan and I called each other and said, boom. And for every single one, Stu, of over 3,000 memberships since, every single time we send each other a text that says, boom.
That's amazing.
First boom. And I don't think he'd mind me saying his name is Dr. Scott Jolly of Little Rock, Arkansas. And I'm Scott, and I lived in Arkansas for a while. So it felt like real universal energy coming together. And we launched, and even the community, it was quiet and sleepy. And I'll be honest, for anybody who's thinking about starting your own, it's hard when you're nervous and insecure and you don't know how it's going to work. And you have a community of 1 or 2 or 10 or 20, and you really want to be in front of thousands. I get it. It's okay. You're doing it, and you'll keep doing it. And now I'll tell you, we've sold over 3,000 memberships. As you noted before, we've diversified our product offering. We have a mastermind program that is really crazy, that's a very high ticket item, even more value, and also pays for itself for our doctors who've experienced it. Never look back. And now we have thousands of members active every single day in our community. So it's that curriculum we launched with the promise of that community being a support system and a place where people could safely come together and share their successes, their challenges. And we were really intentional in that about noting that our community would be kind 100% of the time. Because it turns out in certain industries, including dentistry, not all online communities are very kind. And some are known for not being kind at all. And it being a real rough and tumble place to be and to share, and which stifles people from feeling comfortable and speaking up. So I will tell you this, Stu, in 4 years and thousands of members and hundreds of posts per week, if not per day, certainly dozens per day, we've never had to delete a single one, not even a comment. We've never had a moment where somebody has said anything negative to somebody else. And so we led with that vision drives mission. We led with generosity and a belief that we were helping solve problems and make lives better. That curriculum and community would provide that coaching, and it worked. And so that's what that launch was, but it was slow at the beginning.
Well, and I appreciate you speaking to that. There's a couple things I want to unpack here that you said were so valuable. One, just acknowledging the fact that, sometimes in the beginning it can be slow, and that was the case here for you. And in those moments, we can have those self-doubts of like, is this worth it? Is this, going to blossom into the thing that we envision it to be? And you start second guessing yourself in those moments. And I appreciate you for, speaking to that and then just saying it is worth it. Like, you do stick with it because, and then there's the other thing, there's a couple other things that you've said that I definitely want to touch on. One is the culture piece. I'm going to circle back to that. The other thing that I want to circle back to is the partnership that you, or the, partnership or sponsorship, so to speak, with Invisalign. We'll talk about that too, because I think there's a lot of amazingness there. But first, talk to me about that trajectory. So what happened in year one? What did that look like, and how has that blossomed since that time?
Membership, revenue, or both?
Both. Yeah. If you have them. Yeah.
Yeah, membership was low in the first. I mean, it was hard. You have this in your mind why it's so special and how you want it to be in your head, and then sort of the cymbals crash and the sad trombone starts playing, and so we're sort of like, we thought when we lit the fuse, the firecracker would go off and it would be amazing, and it was slow. And so, but we stuck true to that true north, that we're going to solve problems. We're going to add value. We're going to create kindness in this community, and the coaching that results from it will add value to these people. And to your point, and to what you teach, we will always add more value. If somebody got in on day one at a certain price, it was only going to get more valuable to them. We do have an alumni membership, and it goes on from there. But we focused on that value, and it built. It grew. We did our first mastermind with only 5 attendees. It was on purpose. We got a small room for it, but it worked. And now those masterminds, we have to keep them at 15, and we sell them out without any advertising. And it's more than double the price we started with. And it's still the highest ticket item at half the price we charge now. And we just momentum begets momentum. And so 10s turned into 20s, turns into 100. And eventually we hit 1,000, and that was amazing. And then people started renewing after the first year. And then the impact, we measured impact, and it's important to measure impact. It's important. That success path checklist is very, very real, right? You give people clear, and we did it for ourselves internally as a team. And then we made pivots, of course, along the way. We learned a lot as we went, but the best part is it worked. The program worked. Of all of our challenges, it wasn't that what we were teaching didn't work. It worked great. It worked better than anybody expected. And so we kept building, and we kept iterating, and we kept growing. We kept asking ourselves tough questions. We asked for feedback from our members, and it grew. And so in the first year, we're talking onesie, twosie numbers, and some partnerships with others. But we were in the 6-figure range with even just a few dozen members. And then the next year, we 5x'd that, and then we doubled it. And so we went from 6 figures the first year. We're now in the $4 million range per year,
it's amazing, dude. Like I just want to take a moment, Scott, and just acknowledge what you've done here. Like it's incredible. And this is why we were delayed today, because you and I were talking about like the residual impact of, what it is that we get to do. And I just think about all those dentists who you are helping and serving, and how it is through what you're teaching is helping them in their practice, and therefore helping so many other clients. Like, kind of speak to me a little bit about that. Like, do you guys take stock in terms of that ripple effect that you're now having?
We do, and I apologize for being the reason for the delay. I didn't realize we're on a timeline to start.
No. Don't apologize, dude. I get excited talking about this stuff.
I'm going to share the compliment I gave Stu, but I also have to thank every single person who's been part of this community for the past 5 or 6 years, because I started as a member having zero expectation I'd be doing this. I just started following a guy named Stu I heard on a podcast, and then I checked out his things. I liked his vibe, and I had no expectation where this would go. And so I thanked Stu for that before we got started today. But there are so many people who are in this community and have been part of formerly known as Tribe's launch over years. And I'm a multi-year member. So those of you who are new, stick with it. It works great over time. I have to thank all of you who were here before and during the times of those years, because you all contributed your sample success path checklist, your launch messaging, your copy, your advice, your guidance, your tools, and success leaves clues. I say all the time at Moelis Coaching, there's nothing special about what I've done here at all. I'm borrowing from other people who've led with the same generosity, and we're using their model to build and serve these people. So yes, we do stop and take stock of how we're impacting the lives of our members. And that's always our guiding principle. If it's good for our membership, if it makes the curriculum or the community or the coaching that our members find from those, then we do it. That's it. That's an easy decision to make. And then we think about how it serves them, because once they've purchased our membership, we don't make another penny off of them unless they renew as an alumni, but we're talking hundreds of dollars there, not thousands like their original membership. So we know that we're making an impact on those people's lives because they're able to offer a super in-demand treatment. I mean, Invisalign and clear aligner therapy of other brands as well that are out there is super popular, and it was catapulted by the pandemic because we all sat on Zoom, and they call it the Zoom effect. We're all looking at our teeth and we're like, oh, let me get some new glasses, or whatever the case may be. That's happened in a lot of industries. And so knowing that we were able to serve those people during those times and in that way is amazing. But again, it all comes back for me to this community and the contributions of so many who I still follow. I still jump into the Facebook groups and back into my membership login, and I see what other people have contributed. So yes, we look at impact and we think about people. And by the way, there are some amazingly touching stories of people whose lives and health are transformed by a healthier smile. Again, not a dentist, not here to pitch orthodontics to anybody, but it can have a really transformative effect on people. And I've seen that too. And that really makes you feel good knowing that you're giving people the clarity, the comfort, and the confidence. Those are the other 3 C's. We have 6 C's at Moles Coaching: curriculum, community, and coaching that produce clarity, comfort, and confidence for our members. And knowing that they have that and that they can treat their patients for a lifetime and have a positive effect on those folks, man, it's rocket fuel.
It is, and it's a testament to you and Ryan, and that's the next part that I want to just unpack is real quickly how you establish that culture, because I love the fact that you have this safe environment that people feel comfortable in, and that you have created that comfort for them, because that's so important in a membership and in a community. And I think even more so in today's day and age, because there's so much negativity and so much heaviness in the world that people crave that safe environment where they can be themselves, they can have free discussions without worry of being judged and critiqued and and so forth. So talk to me about how you establish that in your membership.
Yeah, the first line is it has to go back to service. Who are we serving? What problem are we helping them solve? And how's the world better when they're done than when they started with us? So that's number one. And I think that's a great screen for anybody to use. When I learned and when we learned that these communities weren't kind or helpful or inclusive, and there was, I've got young kids and there's the mean kids and there's the popular kids and stuff like that. And we'd heard about different communities having different personas, almost like a school lunchroom. We said, well, let's make ours the nice kids. Let's make ours the place where we celebrate all the successes, not just big numbers. And that's the thing. We're always careful about that too. And that's going to be, so the second is we're really intentional about solving that problem, about making ours stand out in a different way that we learned and then had reinforced was really valuable and helpful, which was leading with that kindness. The third thing is all credit to Ryan. And I wish he was here. He's busy right now, but Ryan is inherently a wonderful educator. He's a gifted natural teacher, but he's also a super kind human being. Which is good, because if you go to the dentist, you want the kind one. Because none of us love going to the dentist. We always joke that the 2 professions that are ranked the lowest in reputation are lawyers, and then at the bottom are dentists. And it's like, we try to be part of the change we want to see in the world. But we sort of joke about that a lot. But Ryan's a gifted teacher and a super kind person. And he genuinely is passionate about helping other people do this. And he gets so excited about various elements of that, both what this can mean for a practice, a patient, a team, a smile, a lifetime, a career. But he's also passionate about helping solve a problem. Like, he took 20 years to figure some of this stuff out. He really did. I mean, hundreds of cases, and the technology's evolved a ton in that time, and he had to learn and grow. He always tells his story that he used to have to sneak into other courses to learn stuff that were for orthodontists because they didn't teach dentists this. And so he gets excited about making it simple for other people too, and seeing them progress along their journey.
Well, I love that leading with kindness, creates that culture. And so much we talk about how the culture and what's happening in the membership in the community is so much influenced by those leading the community and membership. So it's awesome to hear about Ryan, and you have the same energy, the same warm, fun energy, Scott. So I can see how it all comes to play. Now, the final thing that I want to unpack here as we look to wind down is you have a collaboration and a partnership with a corporation. And I think this is very interesting because this is a unique twist on the traditional membership model. Talk to us about like how that came to be and what advice you would give others who have the potential to align themselves to, different corporations and sponsorships and so forth.
Yeah, sure. And that started through a conversation too of saying, hey, if we teach and if we can help solve this problem in a unique way, should we work together? And the answer was a resounding yes from day one. Now, because of who Ryan was and that he was this really high profile provider in that little ecosystem, who knew there was such a thing? But we learned there was a lot of interest right away. And so, but it started through a conversation saying, hey, if I could help teach in this unique way, would we want to work together? And it blossomed from there. It started with that simple inquiry. So one of my favorite things in life, and that I'd offer to anybody who's wondering, should I make the ask? Yes, always make the ask. Always, if you think you can solve a problem for someone, and if you think you can help someone, and it's coming from that place, always make the ask. You never know where it might lead. And so for 4 years now, we've had an increasingly stronger and better relationship every year that works to everybody's advantage. Nobody loses and everybody wins. Most among them, the doctors who enroll in our program, they do better every single year they put our program to work. I think that's probably the same for you, Stu. Yeah. And so when you uniquely solve a problem for someone, partners will be out there. They will be attracted to your desire to serve and contribute and solve real problems. And that relationship has been, we wouldn't be where we are or how we are as a membership model without them. To be clear, we owe a lot of that success. We would be just different. We'd be with probably lots of different companies providing the service to lots of different doctors instead of exclusive. But we committed to stay exclusive to them, and they committed to supporting us. And that support has taken different forms. We've been an open enrollment model from day one, but this year, as part of the new updated relationship with that company, we're now doing a PACE program, which is effectively a closed model to get in before a 12-week start. And then we're taking that STU model, and we're going to teach it all 4 modules in 12 weeks, a guided tour supported by Friday Lives. So we're experimenting with them, and we're still going and growing together. And we're even with that revenue model, which, the numbers sound impressive, and it's an expensive membership, but it's very reasonable for the market and for a peer education program that lasts a whole year for sure. We're the cost of 1 2-day conference, and they get us for a whole year, and then can renew for a fraction of that as an alumni and get all the value that comes in later. It's been just a tremendous relationship with them, and we keep finding new ways. And even though we've gotten 3,000 members to date, there's still 37,000 to 57,000, depending on how you count the number of active providers out there for us yet to serve.
Well, it's just a really fun place to explore for people in terms of, who could be potential collaboration partners, not just from a promotional standpoint, but also just from a sponsorship or corporate standpoint. You're a great example of this. Sarah Williams in our community is another great example of this. She's, formed an incredible collaboration and partnership with Kate Spade for her subscription boxes. And that's added a whole nother level, in terms of what she's providing. And there's just, I think, more and more opportunities like this because we have this captive audience, right? We have this audience of people that we're serving. And in your case, like, you're helping that audience use the very product that this company is providing better. And the more successful the members are, the more they're going to be using that product. So it's, as you said, it's a win-win-win all the way across the board. So I love that. Really okay. So as we look to wind down, Scott, you've had just a tremendous journey, tremendous success. I heard you say something there that I'm just going to quickly touch on. We don't have to unpack, but it's just a little nuance. My ears are always perked for this. But I love how you positioned the price of your membership. You said it's equivalent to the cost of a 2-day conference, but they get us for the whole year. And I just want to quickly point that out because one of the things that I love doing in marketing, and this is very important for everybody, is to create contrast. Because if we don't create contrast, our market will, and they'll do it, and they'll compare the price of our membership to something. And so if you can quickly touch on that, like, I think that's really a fascinating way of how you've created that contrast in your marketing.
Yeah, it happened, like a lot of the stuff we're doing, very organically. It was, we looked at, originally that day one, it was $40 a month. We'll charge $40 a month, and it'll be nice and easy for everybody to sign on to. And now it's a $3,000 membership, give or take. Through that sponsorship, there's a promotion available now where it's under that. But we sort of said, well, what's out? One of the alternatives was in-person conferences. This was pre-pandemic, of course, where thank goodness we were online before it was required. And there was a reasonable difference of opinion about whether we were really comparable or not. I would have been the first to say, no, we're different, proudly. We're accessible at the touch of a button. Most of these doctors live and work in their practices or their home, not at the Airport Radisson in Salt Lake, which I'm sure is lovely, but it's not where they're delivering the service and where they might run into a challenge where we could be helpful because we're on demand. And so we sort of said, who's out there educating? Mostly in-person conference providers. And it's at least $2,000. And then, whether or not that includes airfare or hotel, it can actually get a lot more expensive.
And too, as you said earlier with Ryan, like time away from the practice, there's also an opportunity cost there. And that's one of the most expensive things for these doctors. So
we could never have built this if it was not an online membership.
Yeah. Well, I just love the way in which you created that contrast, and it puts into perspective the value that you're providing and that the members will ultimately get. As we look to wind down, Scott, what thoughts and advice would you have for those who are thinking about starting a membership, whether it's around their own expertise or in your case, around somebody else's expertise, in this case, your partner, Ryan? What thoughts would you have for them as we look to wind down?
Let vision drive your mission. Momentum will beget momentum. I'm offering some of my favorite quotes here. But also, don't worry if it hasn't quite yet appeared. Be patient. I always use the metaphor of water skiing. There's a point between where you say hit it to the boat and you're actually up behind the boat water skiing. And that's a really insecure spot to be in. And I was there for a long time thinking about what a membership could possibly look like, because I was thinking about it when I first thought about it in a totally different way. Stay curious, because that curiosity might lead you to a really interesting backyard conversation or three, and that conversation might go on over a few years. So if you know what you're doing, let that vision and mission drive you. Let that generosity and enthusiasm be your rocket fuel every day, and go and don't look back and make the ask and just keep making progress. And if you're one of those people who's here because you're attracted to this kind of energy and the idea of it all, I was there too, and wouldn't be here if I didn't spend quite a bit of time there. And so it's okay, no matter where you fall on that spectrum. Believe in yourself, believe in that vision that drives you, and keep being curious and exploring it. It will emerge. The path will appear.
Scott, this has been an absolute treat and a treasure, buddy. Where can people go to, get in touch with you? Because I know it's inevitably going to spark some questions and stuff. What's the best place to get in touch with you?
Well, if they want to check out Molis Coaching, you're welcome to do that. It's moliscoaching.com. And you can go to the About Us page and find a contact and just put my name up in the regarding line. That's probably the easiest way to find me. The rest of my day job is unrelated to all of this. So it wouldn't help me to send you there. But I'm always happy to answer questions. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn as well, so always happy to help others. But honestly, I just want to end with gratitude to you, Stu, and to everybody who you serve in this community. Nothing I've just talked about would have been possible at all without Stu, your team, and the contributions of everybody who make your community what it is. So thank you.
Well, buddy, I appreciate that. And this has been an absolute, gem. There's so many great takeaways from you distilling down your journey with your membership. Congratulations to you. Certainly give a big congrats to Ryan. It's amazing what you guys have done in such a relatively short period of time. And I know this is just the beginning for both of you in terms of where this is headed. So congrats to that. And everybody else in the comments, let's give Scott a big thank you. Definitely, let him know in the comments. But we really appreciate you and the time you took today. So thanks, Scott. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.